Maybe this could be an episode entirely on its own, but it's funny when you start talking about the wanting to crush the First Amendment and whatnot in America, because the First Amendment in America is the only place that it exists. Regardless, if you go to Canada,
that's just because nobody's tried socialism the right way. Man, I wasn't going to smile after I said
censorship the right way.
Nobody's tried total government control the correct way yet.
Yeah, it's never been tried in the last, 2,000 something years, except, the Federalist Papers has obviously said as much. But seriously, you wouldn't realize how many kids in my era, my age, really do think that that a First Amendment or a Second Amendment or just the rights that we take for granted in America just aren't as widespread as they think they are. There are way too many people my age who think, man, the rights that I take, the freedoms that I take for granted in America, they're widespread. And it's just not true. When you go and look at Canada and the things that are happening in Australia and New Zealand and England and Germany, Italy, France, you name it, they just don't have the rights that we have. And that is mainly preserved by our Constitution and the way that America was developed. And this, as I said, it could probably be an episode all on its own, but it's the truth.
Well, as a point to that, like you were saying that, a lot of people your age, my age, I think that you can not have that be just an age demographic. You could have that be just across the board. Most Americans don't realize, number one, the rights that they truly do have. They don't really understand what's in the Constitution. I'll be honest, I can't recite word for word in order everything that's in there myself. And I pay attention to that kind of thing. They believe that rights as a human across the board, as a global whole, is equally dispersed. A lot of people believe that, and through this insane belief that somehow it's more repressive in the United States, is really just astronomically crazy to me to think, for people to think that there's people that think that way. And I really think that it's because of a lack of education. And to take that maybe a step further, I think it's a deliberate lack of education. I think that there's a lack of education that's deliberately being delivered from our schools. And that's subject for another day, a big subject, and
an entirely another episode.
Oh yeah, it's just
multiple episodes. Come on.
Well, yeah, the depth of the sewer is very deep, and it's the lack of education, and I don't come to that as my own invention. That was touted by Martin Luther King Jr. That was touted by many other human rights advocates throughout history, that the lack of education is what brings people down, what keeps people in poverty, and in our case, what makes people believe that the freedoms that they enjoy are universally enjoyed by the rest of the world, which is so far from the truth. And it's that deliberate lack of education that has done that.
Without a doubt. I completely agree. I can see it in the people that I talk with. Why do you think that there are so many people who think that Canada is such a great place?
It's because
they. Oh yeah.
Get what you pay for.
Exactly. But they also, seriously, so many of them don't realize that they don't have a constitution. They don't have a First Amendment. They don't have a Second Amendment. They don't have a Bill of Rights that we all take for granted. They don't have the basic liberties and freedoms that we take for granted here in the United States. They don't have it. They bent the knee to the king while we didn't.
They made their decision in 1776 and they can live with it.
Exactly. Fuck you, Canada.
I told some Canadian friends of mine one time that they made that decision in 1776 and they can live with it because they were upset about this. They increased their gun control up there, and they didn't find it nearly as funny as I did. Like, I thought it was pretty funny, but they didn't think it was funny at all. Yeah, they're actually a little upset at me for saying it, but I mean, you know, I'm always concerned about, you know, how upset I make people. It's something I think about all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.